He told you exactly how things were. He was honest, loyal, and always vocal. A true Lion of England, and a man of high morals, guts and integrity. A man who cared not just for the morale of his soldiers, but in how that morale was created. A man with great spirit and forthrightness, who was as true as his aim was with a javelin missile. He was a man who I respected as someone never afraid to ask his commanding officer a tough question or tell me how my soldiers were feeling. When I could squeeze a word in edgeways, I would joke with him that he was my shop steward, a man whom I trusted to tell me how my soldiers were and what their concerns may be. He never let me down, always telling me the truth, always presenting a fresh opinion, always diplomatic and always underpinning our chats with his fine sense of humour. He gained my trust and admiration very early on, particularly for his leadership in Afghanistan. Ferocious in defence of his men and deadly with a javelin missile. He fired as many as any operator in the army when facing the enemy in battle. I have lost a confidant, a magnificent javelin missile detachment commander and an honourable soldier. These were the reflections of Lieutenant Colonel Robbie Boyd, Commanding Officer, 2nd Battalion, the Duke of Lancaster's Regiment, speaking about Sergeant Peter Anthony Rayner following his death in Afghanistan in 2010. Sergeant Rayner's parents said Peter was a Bradford lad and an avid Bradford City supporter. He was a keen mountain biker. He was always full of energy and was someone who enjoyed life to the full. Sergeant Rayner's widow said he was a fantastic, loving husband and father, son, son-in-law, brother and brother-in-law, who loved his job and doing something which he believed in. He will be sincerely missed by all who knew him. Hello, and a warm welcome to Dodger's Trips. I'm Dodger, and today I'm at the Harold Club, Low Moor in Bradford. In the car park of the club is a war memorial erected in memory of the members of Harold Club who were killed during the 2 world wars. Within just a stone's throw of the Harold Club monument, there's another memorial, little known memorial, to Sergeant Rayner. And I'd like to take you there today and learn a little bit more about Sergeant Rayner's military career. So join me. Sergeant Rayner was born into a military family on the 11th of November 1975 in Andover. However, he considered his hometown to be Bradford. He joined the 1st Battalion, King's Own Royal Border Regiment in 1994. This was the same battalion in which his father served most of his army career. Passing a Warrior Armoured Fighting Vehicle Driving cadre, soon after his arrival, he was deployed to Bosnia in 1997, Macedonia in 1998, and again to Bosnia in 2000. By this time he had been promoted to Lance Corporal and was honing his skills as an armoured infantry soldier by becoming a regimental gunnery instructor, a driving and maintenance instructor and also a fleet manager. He was then deployed to Iraq on Operation Telic 2, where he was employed as a warrior commander. Always one to seek out a new challenge, Sergeant Rayner moved to the anti-tank platoon, where he completed the Milan Detachment Commander's course. He deployed again to Iraq on Operation Telic 9 with the newly formed 2nd Battalion, the Duke of Lancaster's Regiment, this time as a warrior sergeant with Arnhem Company. In 2009 he deployed to Afghanistan on Operation Herrick 11. He worked out of patrol base Shamel Story, one of the most heavily attacked bases in southern Helmand, where he performed admirably. In 2010, he once again deployed to Afghanistan with Arnhem Company as the Javelin Platoon Sergeant. His bravery and courage attracted much praise and cemented a reputation as one of the best javelin commanders in the army. On the 8th of October 2010, Sergeant Rayner was killed in action when he was struck by an improvised explosive device whilst leading his men on patrol in the Nari Siraj district of Helmand province. Sergeant Rayner left a widow and young family. Councillor Dave Green worked with Sergeant Rayner's family throughout the years to identify a suitable location in which to celebrate his life. Skippy, or Skip, was a nickname given to Sergeant Rayner by his comrades as he had a habit of tutting. Viewers of a certain age will recall with fondness a child's TV programme called Skippy the Bush Kangaroo, and his way of communicating with his human friends was to... As we've already heard, Sergeant Rayner had a great sense of humour, and it was along these lines that his own the soldiers underneath him giving this moniker. And so we've got Skippy's close here. The unveiling was attended by Sergeant Rayner's widow and former comrades, and the close was decorated with balloons and flowers that day. Now, Abscott Lane is a very, very busy street connecting Halifax Road to Huddersfield Road. Thousands of vehicles travel this route, but most drivers will be unaware of the significance of Skippy's Close. One of the gentlemen who live in one of these properties decided to turn the area adjacent to the driveway into a memorial garden. An old metal pipe was found during the development of the properties, and this was being used to mount a brass plaque in memory of Sergeant Rayner. So next time you drive up Abscott Lane and you come past Skippy's Close, you'll know the significance of the name, and maybe you'll spare a thought for the sacrifice Sergeant Rayner and so many of his colleagues have made. I understand Sergeant Rayner's grave is just half a mile from here, so I'm going to walk up to the cemetery and pay my respects. We're approaching North Biley Cemetery now. I've seen a photograph of the grave, and it's the typical military headstone. Looks like it backs onto either the footpath or the road, so hopefully we won't have too much trouble in being able to locate it. Here we are. This is the grave of Sergeant Peter Anthony Rayner, 2nd Battalion, the Duke of Lancaster's Regiment. What a beautifully kept grave it is as well. So I'm just going to take a moment to pay my respects. There we are. Okay. Now, I thought long and hard about how I was going to finish this film. The most obvious way would have been, I guess, to play the last post, but that just seemed a little too solemn, particularly after I'd read dozens and dozens of tributes to Sergeant Rayner on the gov.uk website, from his officers and from his men, all holding him in such high esteem, but underpinning that was his abilities as a soldier, but also a great sense of humour. Said so often described him as always smiling, always laughing loudly, full of life, and loved nothing better than to wind people up, even his officers. So I'm going to finish on a light-hearted note. If any of his comrades or his family do see this film, I hope you understand the reason that I've decided to finish this way. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next film. Bye.